smoke because one short thing you will get his appetite. So I feel that they need to look at that area down the road and why those people trip off and lose the milk. Again.
Thank you. No, before we take the next call, you want to respond to that? Because I know there's some people who suffer from this disorder too, that they can't eat, but from the time you administer the cannabis, it opens up the appetite. We've seen documentaries on television with that also.
Well, that's because of the endocannabinoid system, because we have cannabinoid receptors in the gastrointestinal tract, and it seems that they are associated with appetite stimulation. It's also used as an vomiting drug as well. It can be to prevent vomiting, again because of those receptors. I mean, the problem in nutrition is that if nutrition has been a ignored area of medicine as well, and it's now becoming more, people are becoming more aware of the value of good nutrition, both in terms of the foods we eat and the kind of supplements you could use to ensure good health. And I think it is a function of the kind of life and the kind of upbringing the person has. As we had said before, if you don't have support, if you don't have people who can look out for you, who can help you get food that is nutritious, then it's likely that you're not going to be eating well. And if you're not eating well, it means the negative effects of any drug that you take are more likely to play a part.
Let's take some more calls. We have 5 minutes again to take your calls. Make them short and sweet. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Try again, please.
No, something just happened there and all the calls dropped from the board. I don't know what happened there.
All right. In the interim, there's a question I would like to ask, though.
We have a little technical problem going on here. I don't know what it is. Yes, Natasha?
Yes. I know that there's been a recent thrust by the Minister of Health against a lot of these herbal remedies that are flooding the markets now. And people, setting up their shops and proclaiming their herbal remedies to be curing cancer and AIDS and all kind of thing. Do you think that should marijuana now be used in a medicinal form, could it suffer the same fate, that negative stereotype that a lot of people have towards herbal remedies?
No, I don't think so, because you see, most of the claims that you just say have no evidence, no medical evidence, but there's a lot of medical evidence going back for hundreds of years with the use of marijuana, with many things, right? And now that the enlightenment is coming, the research coming faster, and you can get better research because it'll be easier to get the cannabis and standardizing things and get ethical approval and things and so, because the whole world buying into the medicinal properties. So we will have good evidence so that it will not be lumped into the herbal thing for cure everything.
6224911. Let's try the lines again. Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
These issues, they seem to have such what you call, total disregard for good sense and judgment. I don't smoke and I don't do weed and all of these things. And I can understand clearly that there are people who do need this for medical purposes. But let us not get confused. This thing called marijuana alters the brain. What is it going to do? Allow anyone to just use it because they feel like using it, not for medicational purposes, and then drive cars and interact with people? I don't think that that's the proper way to go. In the United States also, you look at cocaine and how the legislation is done. You can have a cup of pure crack cocaine, and if you ended up in the criminal justice system, somebody who's got, altered cocaine, which is the crack, you can have a bedroom of it, right? But the person with the pure cocaine, I have to reverse this. The person who's got the bedroom of cocaine is going to get the same sentence or even a lesser sentence than the person who has the crack cocaine. These kinds of disparities it's got to do with the elite class and others. I just don't see where the ethical sense is coming down in a way that is going to really serve to the best interest of the general public. That's what I have to say.
Thank you very much. Anyhow, let's move. Hello, good evening.
Hello,
Good evening.
about hearing voices. There's a fruit called there's a fruit called
Oh Lord.
No, it causes short-term memory to it.
Memory loss.
Hello?
Oh Lord.
That's one of the side effects. We know that for sure. When you get a chance to remember, please call back. All right? Thanks.
No.
You there?
yeah, I'll call you back.
You see the last call, all right? I mean, somehow from last week to this week, right? I don't think people listening to some of the things we're saying.
Yeah.
You see, because we're giving them evidence of real life situation in places where the thing has been decriminalized.
Yeah.
We give the example of the Netherlands. We give the example of Portugal and the different states in America, which show that it did not cause an increased uptake.
Yeah.
And in fact, when they question the young people as to why they're not going to, 84% of the people answer they're not interested.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when they ask those that went on to it, 4% say because it was free.
Let's
You
take another
get what I'm
call.
saying?
Yeah. Hello, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening to the panel.
Good evening.
Yeah, boss. Good evening. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. We're hearing you.
You hear that?
Yes, partner.
Yeah, man. I want to talk about the experience of marijuana. Marijuana good for stroke. Marijuana good for your eyes. Marijuana good for cold. Marijuana good for asthma. And this has been used for centuries. And some of it was handed down to me. We are making these medicines as concerned. So, all those who don't have the experience and the knowledge, they should listen and learn. And don't condemn what you don't know about.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, boss.
Thanks a lot.
Respect due.
Hello, good evening.
Good night, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, it's that is the man.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, good evening, sir. You have-
Okay, sir. Excuse me, a guy, the doctor or something, what do you call him? Cannabis. Cannabis is not marijuana,
Yes, we know.
Huh?
Yes, we know. Marijuana specifically applied to the leaf and the flower.
Well, cannabis is an oil derived from marijuana. Cannabis is not marijuana.
Yes, sir. We have been teaching the public that for quite a while now.
That is not thing. Okay.
All right.
All right, thanks very much.
Gentlemen,
Oh, Jesus. Yes,
Gentlemen.
good evening.
Yes. Good evening.
yes, good evening. Let me say this. I really couldn't care about the information on this particular subject about what's going on in the U.S., what's going on in the Australia, and in the Netherlands. You see, this country is a very special place with a bunch of very special people of a certain kind. And what we want here in this country is a certain good conduct and understanding. We can see the ills all over the place, and we are able to cherry pick what we want on this one. In this country, we don't need nobody smoking no weed unless they need to smoke it because they're medically sick, and the doctors need to get involved in the enforcement of that criteria. We don't need nobody smoking and altering their brain unless they have a medical problem, and that particular thing could assist them. It is very simple. We don't need that nonsense in this country.
All right, caller. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, can I engage you for 1 second because we have a lot of calls and we're running out of time. You have children, right? Do you have children?
If I what?
Do you have children?
If I have children,
Yes.
why does that matter?
All right, thank you for calling. You very argumentative and we not in an argumentative mood this evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Talking about boys, I told a while ago, and I can't remember, suit. I am of the opinion that the suit was, I wanted to mention, was gato. Right? The product from the tattoo is something called joy juice, which is very, very intoxicating, and it can, and it's so potent that it can trigger a hallucination. Very, very dangerous.
All right, thank you very much, caller. Because we're not dealing with that too right now. Now, listen, let's wrap this up because there are some people who seem to want to be very belligerent, and this is not what our independence is all about, and that will never happen on this program. The reason why I asked the caller if he has children, one of the reasons in countries that are decriminalizing marijuana, we tend to live in this bubble, and you use the word special, and you have to be careful how you use that word special, because when your children leave home, you could only warn them about bad company. You could warn them about what you self don't even know if you're going them up with low self-esteem. However, when they jump in a car with their friends to go out Friday night or Saturday evening to go and party, and one of the friends have drugs on them, and they get stopped in a roadblock, sir, the one who you didn't matter if you had children, and they arrest everybody in the car, your son or your daughter you will have to go to court Monday morning to answer a charge of possession. And if it is decriminalized, it may not even reach the court. You just go and pay a fine, but they wouldn't end up with a conviction, because we love our children to go to school, study, to go to university. But when they go to get that visa and a police certificate of good character, and it shows that they were arrested and charged for possession of marijuana, they're not going to get it, and it's going to put a ceiling over their head. So don't want to discuss it. This is what I'm saying. What we're doing here is actually living ahead of our time, because our country, as he said, use the word, as I say, special, and that special could be termed in many different ways, right? And if you don't want to discuss it, too bad. The discussion is being had around the world already, and we're no different from nobody else, from what you said, sir. So what we're having is a general, normal, but educative discussion. Final words quickly, gentlemen, before we go.
Well, I think the key message is that we have to look more closely at cannabis and marijuana, and look at the benefits, the potential benefits of decriminalizing, the medical benefits, the economic benefits. We also have to acknowledge the problems and work out ways in dealing with those problems that would ensure that when it is decriminalized, those problems can be managed more effectively.
Thank you. Dr. Pottinger?
Well, that between yourself and Hutchinson, I think you summarize it enough, so I don't really have much to add to that.
But we want to thank you all very much,
Indeed,
Natasha.
Indeed. I wish we had a third or a fourth episode to discuss this, because I know that there are a lot of people who unfortunately are not here in this program. But I think it's a good start, and hopefully we could go past the talk and move to action. Remember, this program will be repeated at 10 p.m. For those of you who missed it this time around, at 10 p.m. tonight, you can hear a rebroadcast of this program this evening. And
I want to throw the invitation to Dr. Pottinger and Professor Hutchings, so that anytime you think we should get involved again as soon as possible, please let's do it, because I want to continue the discussion. Yeah. Right? I want to do it. There are countries that are really doing it. We need to catch up, and I want to continue doing it.
Probably you should probably get on to your Minister of Health.
Yes. We'll do that also and have him in here with us. Vanessa?
Put his input.
So let's have that clip before we. But we want to thank you very much for joining us, people, and of course join us next week. Please go for another edition of Independency, and remember you can catch us this evening again at 10 p.m. Also, you can catch us on Independency on Facebook. Thanks a lot. Have a good week.
Good night.
Good night. You've been listening to Independency, reality radio at its best on Talk City 91.1